Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
If you dropped something when you were younger, you'd just pick it up. But when you're older and you drop something, you stare at it for a while, contemplating if you actually need it anymore. I like that. Good morning. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America on a Monday, March 15th. Good morning, good morning. Patriots, Pledge of Allegiance time. And a good morning to you out there in Radio Land. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires and service. And also Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, God bless you for a great job. I've got to run to the weather, but have a great day. Thank you so much, Tony. Appreciate it. Our weather forecast is brought to you by K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. Offering the best of tools and equipment. I'll bet you they are going to be busy today, and I'll guarantee you that from now on, boys, spring's right around the corner, and they've got all the tools and equipment for all the spring work to finish any kind of a project. So give them a call or stop in at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway, for both long and short-term rental of equipment that you need for the job. 678-3122 K&R Rental. And right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
A relatively mild week. Today it's going to be beautiful. Here is a look at your weather forecast. Today we are expecting partly sunny skies, a light breeze out of the east at about 6 miles an hour with a high of close to 61. Tonight clouds rolling in. Low of about 31. Tomorrow partly sunny skies, high of about 50. Winds out of the west at about 7 miles an hour. Tomorrow night partly cloudy skies with a low of 31. By Wednesday back to sunshine, high close to 57. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, Gina, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental. Yep, on the Burley-Paul Highway. Can't miss them. I mean, really, what a front yard filled with tools and equipment, I'm telling you, for whatever you need. So please, if you have questions about what needs you have to finish any kind of a job, just give Roger and the crew a call over there at 678-3122. The best serving you, K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. Oh, caller, I'll be there in a minute. You know the drill. We've got a lot of things we got to catch up on here real quick, and I want to mention our friends over at Daryl's Cleaners. I've got to stop in there, hopefully today, and talk to Kevin and Cindy. Oh, my, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And believe me, they have been serving you and your clothes for many, 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 many years. And believe me, the best. Dry cleaning prolongs the life of your clothes, and with the cost today, boy, that's a good thing. They know how to take care of them. They know how to make you looking good, feeling good at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Please stop in and see my friends, Daryl's Cleaners. Another item that I want to mention real quick before we take our call, and that's Ramsey Heating and Electric. And we're around the corner. We're almost around the corner for spring and looking at summer and warmer temperatures. And believe me, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. And all says it all right there. They've got everything you need at Ramsey Heating and Electric, along with over 7 decades of experience and the nicest and the best of people. 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. The number to call, 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric. It's true, or they provide warm winters and cool summers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you.
Well, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I have a question for you this morning.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Did you enjoy getting up at 3 o'clock this morning instead of 4?
No, and I'm going to tell you right now, Keith, I detest daylight saving time. I don't like it, never have, never will. I think it's absolutely bogus, and I get up early in the morning. But that means I have to go to bed early at night. And I'm sick and tired of thinking about going into April, May, June, July, August, where it is just as bright as full daytime when I try to go to bed and get some sleep. No, I do not like daylight saving time.
Okay, let me ask you one more question. How did we get this daylight savings time? Did we vote on it, or did our governor just decide we needed it?
Well, don't blame Little for this, because it's been around for a long, long time. I will find out. I don't know.
I can't even remember when they didn't have it.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is I'll find out. I'd like to see a repealing of daylight saving time. I think there's only 2 other states that don't abide by it, and I could be wrong on this, so don't take this to the bank and as gospel, but I think it's Arizona and Indiana, I think, are the other 2. But I'd like to see it repealed. I cannot stand, I don't know how I can say it more emphatically, I cannot stand daylight saving time.
Well, we've got it, and we have to live with it, but it's such a boon to the RV industry. That's the one that benefited the most, because people bought more toys because they had more time to play with.
Yeah, but the idiocy that it says it saves power, that's bogus as can be. If you have to get up in the morning like I do at 3:45 and my lights are on longer and we're burning more electricity, don't give me the idea that that daylight saving time is going to save me money, because that's as bogus as can be.
Now, let's just take one other instance.
Real fast.
It's not a good deal. You should talk to a dairyman when the clock changes and he's got to change everything. When the man picks up the milk and when the cows, those cows are smart. They know when to come in.
Well, my body clock tells me I'm tired right now this morning, and it takes, like, I've read an article in the paper not too long ago that said it takes a while, like almost 30 to 35 days to get back into another groove. I don't like it, never will, and I do everything I can to not support it. Keith, I've got another one waiting. God bless you for your thoughts. Appreciate it.
One more thing. I promised Sean that I'd get you stirred up this morning.
Well, you did a good job, doggone it. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley, and also at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. We are going to be over there April 1st for the reemergence of the Lunch Bunch. Don't forget, I know Keith and Nancy will be there, and they've got all kinds of new items added on to their menu choices. Oh, my goodness sakes. You got to get in there. You got to try it. They've got new melt served with new wavy cut fries. Ooh, it's good food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner anytime, all the time, and really nice people, too, at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley. And yes, the Lunch Bunch returns on Thursday, April 1st. Hey, a big shout out to Anthony and the crew over there at Save on Shells, 1827 Overland and Burley. I mean, he is the man. Anthony knows all about camper shells, has a great selection of over 90 camper shells in stock. I mean, they're all over the place. And if they don't have just exactly what you need for the color matching of the paint and everything, they can order you a brand new shell. Absolutely. They've got the ARE shells. Great. I know because I own one. Save on Shells, 1827 Overland and Burley with Anthony at 312-1525. Caller, good morning. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Well, it's okay, Zeb. It's just me again. This invasion we have going on, created by that occupant in the White House, is what is he going to do with all these undocumented insurgents, MS-13, and the drug cartels? Is he going to give them citizenship when they're here long enough? This guy has one goal in mind, and that is to create a one-party system, namely the Democratic Communist Party.
Yeah.
This is his goal.
Yeah. I can't find a thing in the world that you just said that I would argue with. I agree with you. I don't know what we're going to do with the murderers and the COVID carriers and the drug runners and the gang members. I don't know. All I know is that when they get across the border, they can go helter-skelter, and they are, all over this country. Baltimore, Boise, Arkansas, you name it, they're going all over. And once they're here, they're on our dime. We're paying the bill, and I'm fed up with this. I don't care if I'm called a bigot. I really don't care if I'm called a racist or anything else. I've been through that with the left-loon Democratic Party, and it's time to stand up for American citizens and American taxpayers like you and me. This is absolutely unbelievable.
The military takeover of this government to force what's in this country out of this country?
Yeah. I don't care if there is. I would love to see the National Guard be relocated immediately from Washington, D.C., which I think is a complete waste of time, money, and effort and manpower. Put them on the border where they should be, with loaded guns, and no, you're not coming across our border.
Absolutely. I think that's going to happen eventually. Otherwise, we're going to lose the good old U.S. of A.
I'm not sure it's going to happen eventually, Tony. I disagree with you. I have lost any and all hope that this Biden administration is smart enough and or American enough to stop this problem.
Well, let's hope something, a miracle comes up. The American people have got to join forces against what's going on in the White House.
Yeah.
That's it.
I just agree with you that our backs are up against the wall right now, and the American people were being gouged with the much, much higher taxes that are coming down the pike. The idiocy of this $1.9 trillion COVID bill, which only 9% had anything to do with COVID. Most of it was bailout money for the dumb, demented Democratic cities that were going under. I am not in a very good mood this morning when it comes to all this news. It's just really, really upsetting.
Biden's going to break the economy, and that's just what communist China is waiting for.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Tony, always good to hear from you and Mary. God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank
Bye.
you. You remember what Biden said? And I'm not making this up. I've got it right here in front of me. When he was running for election out of his basement, he said, "Vote for me and help will be on the way." Well, we voted supposedly for Biden. I didn't. I surely did not. And now that Biden is in, it's true. We need help, and help better be on the way right now. This man is absolutely absurd, incompetent, demented, and being led by, of course, Susan Rice, who is being played like a puppet by Barack Obama. I can absolutely guarantee you that's what's going on. Dino Septic Service. Boy, I'll tell you what, they take care of the jobs that you and I don't want to do, and they're really expanding. I mean, they're all over southern Idaho, from Grouse Creek to American Falls, Twin Falls, Jerome, Burley, Rupert, all over, serving you. Absolutely, with the best of septic tank pumping, backhoe services, mainline irrigation installation and repair, liquid waste removal. I tell you, they've got the most modern of equipment, and they really are in a service business. You bet. Dino Septic Service, the number to call, 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638. Twin Falls, 735-8281. Yep, call them today with a big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service. Really good folks. Now, we're in a mess. We're in a mess. This border system is not a crisis. No, it's not a crisis. It's a disaster. And for Nancy Pelosi saying over the weekend, you know, this woman is absolutely so easy to dislike. Nancy Pelosi just comes across as, I think, the easiest person in the world to dislike. She said, well, we inherited a broken system. Somebody out there in Radio Land, tell me how the system was broken with Trump for 4 years. We didn't have this mass chaos and confusion on the border. We didn't have countries literally sending people from their country to come up into America, so that, honestly, the American taxpayer is on the dime, on the hook, and on the decline. And for her to say that the Democrats inherited a broken system, it was working pretty good there, Nancy, for 4 years of being tough, being honest, and being forthright. But now you, Democrats, are causing absolute distrust and dissension and a complete disengagement from what's right and wrong. You people are nuts. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Like to hear from you. I tell you what, I get really fussy about certain things, and I'm going to say some things here that might offend some people, but so be it. There are people that write for the Times News, and some of them live here in the Magic Valley. One of which is a caller. Stand by, I'll be right with you. One of which is a gentleman by the name of Chris Houston, and I really don't care where he's from, what he's done in the past, whatever. But when he writes his op-eds, he'd better make sure that he knows what he's talking about that is truthful. He wrote an op-ed in the Sunday paper that really upset me, and I'm going to read the paragraph, and then I'm going to tell you why it's wrong. He says, meanwhile, I couldn't help noticing that this frothing goo of a news story occurred during the week that led up to Congress approving a $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief bill. Congressional Republicans were unified in opposing the bill, despite polls showing that 70% of Americans supported it. Right there, that's a bone of contention, too, because nobody thought really and understood what it was all about. He goes on to say, I would have thought that the newly self-christened loyal opposition organization known as Fox News would have spent most of its airtime educating its acolytes on the evils of the bill. Instead, they mostly just said it stinks, and now back to the story you really care about, and that was, of course, the idiocy of Dr. Seuss and Meghan and Harry, etc. I happen to know that he's wrong on this. Absolutely dead wrong, because all of last week there were many reports and many segments with people that are economists, people that used to work in government, etc., that laid out everything from A to Z as to how bad this $1.9 trillion so-called COVID bill would be on Fox News. And I'm not taking a stand for Fox News. I'm not saying I draw a paycheck from them or anything else. But when you make an accusation, better have your facts right. On this program, we pride ourselves that our facts and our figures and everything that we put together for stories is right. Mr. Houston is not. And I find that very offensive. If you're going to, offensive, I should say, if you're going to write an article, make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row instead of dead ducks laying in the fray. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir. If a lie is told 1,000 times, does it become the truth?
Well, I just don't like these people that put themselves up on a pedestal as know-it-alls when they write op-ed pieces, and without having a verification of facts. I spend hours literally getting up at 3:45 in the morning verifying every single story that I put on, every single quotation that I put on, and I don't like blowhards making up things or saying something that's not factual.
And that's what they do. They keep pumping that out. Eventually, people are going to believe it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that will not research anything. They read the headline, and that's the news. They do not go down in the story and see about the next to last paragraph where it tells kind of the truth about the headline.
Well, the thing that gets me so upset, and I wish this caller knew that I was on the air right now, the thing that gets me so upset is that when you make a statement that says this definitively, and you didn't do any research, you look like a bungling boob. And that's what Chris Houston looked like when he wrote this, because absolutely the story is not true. You are a news junkie, and I say that with all politeness because you and I are quite a bit similar. Now, you know for a fact, Doug, when I said that last week and the week prior that, like Fox and Friends in the morning and other segments, especially the 5 in the afternoon and then also Tucker Carlson, all of which are on Fox News, they absolutely tore apart the COVID bill and showed how absolute waste of money it was. And when you make statements like this, that's wrong.
Yes, 91% of it is pork.
Yes.
There's only 9% of that 1.9 trillion that's going to help or even go towards COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's going to help, but that's going to go towards COVID. So that means you could take probably 1.8 trillion and get rid of it and still have a COVID relief bill. That would be fair.
It has been said by others, and I think you've heard this yourself, that the bulk of the money is being used to bail out Democratic-controlled cities because of an absolutely waste and lethargic attitude they had in running their cities.
And their lockdowns.
Absolutely.
Where they locked everything down, they're getting paid off for what they've done to their citizens.
Yep.
And tell me where it's fair, where black and Latino farmers will receive 110% of their debt, and any white farmer won't get a penny.
So I get an email regarding that statement I made last week. I'm so glad you said what you said. And remember the story we had on here, and I said that they are going to excuse the debt from black and Latino farmers in the COVID relief bill, but white Caucasian farmers, no, they have to pay their taxes, and they have to pay the bill. And I was corrected, and I underline the word corrected, by somebody that sent me an email and really chastised me for being racist over that. The facts are in the pudding, Doug. I did not lie or make anything up.
And right there you go. This is someone who is getting all upset and does not know the facts.
That's right.
That they're talking about.
You know, my German temper is not one to be admired. It's a very, very rotten temper. And when people accuse me of being a racist and a bigot and a hate monger, and they say that, well, you're not right, not at all, they're going to excuse the debt of all farmers. No, they said that they were going to excuse up to 120% of black and Latino farmers, but Caucasians had to foot the bill. That's how it came out and has for the last 8 days of study of this bill.
And exactly, if you go and read it, that's what it says in the bill. So, but you know, there's one thing that I can't understand. The Democrats and the American people are...
You've got a call.
Are going along with what the Democrats are saying, that we got to help everybody. We got to help coming in on across the border.
No.
You know, you get on an airplane, what's the one thing they tell you if the masks fall out of the ceiling?
Take care of yourself first, and then make sure that your passenger or family member gets the air secondarily.
Exactly. And when you go to work and you get your paycheck and you come home, do you give it to the neighbor or do you give it to a charity and then worry about paying your bills later?
That's right. That's
you pay
right.
your bills, and what's left over, you can help people.
That's right. Doug, I got to go. I'm way late on my cookie giveaway and everything, and I hate to do this to you. I really do. I'm running late. Thanks.
All righty. But, hey, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. I mean, I sound like a broken record, but one thing that is true, go eat there and leave with a full tummy and a full heart.
I appreciate it, Doug. Thank you very much. Caller number 2, I'm going to ask you to hang on. I've got to do this and get it done, or I'm in trouble. I want to remind everybody about Barry Equipment and Rental Sales Service and Parts. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. And I mean, they've got all the big Doosan wheel loaders and excavators. These are big dudes. I mean, they can do the work for you, and they've got all the Bobcats, and they've got all the trenchers and all the scissor lifts. They've got it all for the lifting, digging, pushing, and carrying. You get a hold of them today. Super, super great finance rates and low rental rates. You check it out today at Barry Equipment and Rental, Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Got to give away some cookies real quick to Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. Great restaurant, fantastic bakery. And here is the question. Here is the question to win a dozen cookies, and if you win the cookies, call Sophie's and tell them when you'll be by to pick up your cookies. On the TV show NCIS, Mark Harmon is the lead actor. But what university and what sport did he excel in while he was in college? What university and what sport did he excel in while he was in college? Mark Harmon, star of NCIS. First person to call and get the right answer will win a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. So quickly give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The question again is, on the TV show NCIS, Mark Harmon is the lead actor. What university and what sport did he excel in? Okay? Give me a call quickly and let me know what your thoughts are. I can see everybody running to their computers and trying to get the right answer right now for Sophie's Chatterbox cookies. Let's see if this person on the line has an answer. Caller, are you there? Excuse me. Evidently not.
He was a quarterback for UCLA.
Who is this?
This is Randy.
Randy Golay, the cookie king today. That's the right answer. That's the right answer. And you are the cookie winner, so you can go get a dozen cookies. Call them and let them know when you'll be over there. Yes, Mark Harmon was a quarterback, and a doggone good one, and played for UCLA and had a great chance to go play pro. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, though, Randy. What was his dad's name?
Well, I know his dad was a sports broadcaster, if I'm not mistaken.
And also a great
I can't remember his name.
And also a great football player.
If I could, but we ain't got time.
No, his name was Tom Harmon. Tom,
that's right.
Yes, I know it is. Okay. What can I do for you quickly, Randy?
Oh, nothing. I just, couple quick things. There are three people that there's a farm cell over there by the Valley High School exit. I don't know if that guy went out of business because of COVID. I was talking to my bike mechanic the other day, and he went out of business because of COVID. And I know there's a huge feedlot going out of business. And this is just the beginning. I hope that we can survive all this.
I do, too.
The COVID is what's hurt so many people. Now we're getting kicked in the teeth by the destructors.
You know, what you just said, you could talk for days without stop. What's happening after COVID with the higher taxes and much higher fuel and the absolute asinine attitude the Biden administration have, this is not economic reform, it's economic disaster. Randy, thank you for your call. You won the cookies.
Quick thing. Saturday I went and saw a farmer about a garage door. And he told me he bought 10,000 gallons, and he says, I spent $1 more
Yep.
than I had the last time I got my 10,000 gallons.
Absolutely.
See?
Yeah. I appreciate everything you said, Randy. God bless you. Go get your cookies and share with me. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning, Deb. I'm going to let somebody else get the cookies, so I called back. But anyway, I'll tell you, when you add all of this up, open borders, I understand that it's just like a invitation to the world. Everybody come here, we'll take care of you. And then we got this porculus bill that only, 9% actually goes for COVID relief. And it's just wait till all that money goes out. We're going to see inflation and see the gas prices, of course, are diesel are just in time for farming. It's going to hit double whammy for everybody. Everything is going to be costing more because there's a lot of money chasing around for the same amount of goods. It's all about destruction of this America as we know it. And it's planned that way. It's been planned for a long time, Zeb, and we've got to wake up to the fact that our elected officials, we haven't had a lot of pushback. That's what really irritates
I agree.
A lot of us out here.
Let me just jump in and say something. I absolutely point my finger at the Republican Party. I have not seen a backbone. I have not seen a condemnation. I don't care if it's Crapo. I don't care if it's Risch and Simpson. Oh my goodness, there's a long-winded story we could get into. I mean, where's the condemnation? When are these guys going to stand up and say what's wrong is wrong and right is right? They're not, because they're more concerned about saving their little seat on that leather chair back in Washington, D.C. I am fed up with national politics. I guarantee you, I think they're all a bunch of grade A losers.
Well, I even got a letter from Senator Crapo in regard to breaching of the dams by Congressman Simpson. And it was just a wishy-washy deal. Well, we need to look into this and that. There's nothing in that proposal that even makes sense at all. And he's still trying to somewhat defend what Simpson's doing.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, you look at this whole thing, all the farm groups are against it. You look at the actual with proposals and so forth, but everything, I don't know where these guys are at. But like you say, they got their plush chairs, I guess. But
Adrian,
I'm going to respond back to him because I just got the letter. It came an email. But anyway, I'm just really upset with, and look at our power company here. They're still calling carbon dioxide a villain.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go green.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Yeah.
And Lurch, John Kerry said, we completely go zero carbon in this country. It wouldn't make any difference. He just said that a week ago.
I know.
Unbelievable why he's flying around in his super jet. So, there's justice for them, and there's the rest of us are going to pay the bills.
You got that right.
And suffer the consequences.
I appreciate your call because you laid it out very succinctly, and I appreciate that. Adrian, you're always welcome to call. I got to get another commercial in. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well,
Thank you.
Anyway,
all right.
Day. Let's keep up the fight, but they need to hold their oath of office. They take an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution, and everything that's going on is unconstitutional, especially this bill and
I agree.
gun bills, and this H.R. 1 is just absolutely going to kill us. So
I agree.
Have a great day. Keep up the fight.
I will, my friend. Thank you. Yeah, we haven't even got into HR1 yet this morning. I want to remind you about Wick's Steak Place. 18 East Main Street in Declo. Man, everybody knows. Everybody knows that this is a great place to go eat. I mean, we had Kim on the phone with us last week, and everything from steaks, prime rib, all the way to burgers and sandwiches. I mean, people know that is a fantastic place to take your friends and neighbors and family and enjoy a great meal. Outstanding food at Wick's Steak Place, 18 East Main Street in Declo. Don't forget they're open Wednesday through Saturday from 4 to closing time. Plan on it this week. Get on over to Declo, right there on Main Street. You can't miss them. Wick's Steak Place. You stop over this week. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This story was not on CNN, not on MSNBC, not on NBC, CBS, or ABC. No, they're not smart enough to carry this story. But I am really concerned about what's going on in this country with kids and what is being taught to kids. A New York, listen to this very carefully. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but your calls are welcome. A New York City school, a private school. Listen to the name, Grace Church School. We'll talk about that later. But it's a private school, and it charges over $57,000 per student to go there on an annual tuition. They have come out with more of their cutback on accepted verbiage of what you can say and can't say at school. And this is really frustrating. Now they have come out and said they will not allow, or they are suggesting that it be curtailed, no students say mom and dad. No students say mom and dad. And no student should say boys and girls. And they are absolutely going to make a push this year to stop the words, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, they say, from this school should be replaced with a phrase like, have a good break. And then the school comes out and says, we have been trying to help families find the right words for years, and this is an aid to that process. How dare they? I mean, taking away mom and dad, and then they absolutely deplore the words ladies and gentlemen. Those words should be replaced with words like people. I never got up at one single performance, and I did over 9,000 performances in my career. And I never once got up and said anything except, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I respected my audience. And ladies and gentlemen encompassed what I wanted to say to start that event. I didn't get up and say, good evening, people. I find these cutback on words absolutely astounding and dangerous. And I will never, I promise you, I will never adhere to these words being cut off or out of my program. Ever. We all should fight back. And here you have a very snobbish, elitist school in New York, $57,000 per student per year, telling the kids, no, you can't say boys and girls. No, you can't say mom and dad. My mom and my dad are both deceased. They were my mom and my dad. Proudly, I say that. And now we're going to take and make it as cold as possible by destroying and erasing those words. This is so sick. So sick. Now, I know for a fact that we have some of those elitist types living right here in the Magic Valley. And I certainly hope they have the crust to give me an email and let me know how bad they think of me. That would be appreciated. I'd just like to know where the other side stands. This is insane. And I would say to them, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I hope all of you moms and dads out in the audience are doing fine and looking forward to a very Merry Christmas. It's time for the weather. Brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And the number to call, make an appointment, 312-0957. Absolutely, they are the best at what they do. If you're suffering from hearing loss, I urge you to give them a call because they have the best of diagnostic tests to help you at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. That number again, 312-0957. Give them a call today. And right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
A relatively mild week. Today it's going to be beautiful. Here is a look at your weather forecast. Today we are expecting partly sunny skies, a light breeze out of the east at about 6 miles an hour with a high of close to 61. Tonight clouds rolling in. Low of about 31. Tomorrow partly sunny skies, high of about 50. Winds out of the west at about 7 miles an hour. Tomorrow night partly cloudy skies with a low of 31. By Wednesday back to sunshine, high close to 57. That's a look at your weather for Zeb.
Gina, thank you very much. Nice looking day out there right now. Don't forget, if you're developing some hearing problems, I know they can help you. They help me. Please get a hold of them. Today, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And the number to call, 312-0957, located right behind the Minidoka County Hospital, across from the emergency room. Mount Harrison Audiology, 312-0957. All right, your turn. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Good morning. Talk to me, caller, quickly. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. This is Chuck Driscoll, a Veteran Service Officer. How are you this fine morning?
I am good. Chuck, what can I do for you?
Well, two things. Number one, I want to call you a gentleman since that seems to be out of vogue these days. And number two, I wanted to let the veterans in the audience know that we are having a Vietnam Veterans Recognition Dinner on Monday the 29th at the Rupert Senior Citizen Center. And all they need to do is call me at 670-5183 in order to get reserve a spot and get a ticket. Again, it is Monday the 29th at 6 p.m. at the Rupert Senior Citizen Center.
Okay. Now, Chuck, I want you to send that to me if you would, and I'll plug it every day on the program.
I sure appreciate it.
Oh, you got it.
I also want you to know that my mother and father were my mom and dad, and I really appreciate them, even though they're both gone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will not take and change the words for anyone. I mean, what's happening in this country, we're losing our minds. We really are losing our minds to a cancel culture that is nuts. It's a bus running off a cliff. It's like Thelma and Louise are at the control.
Isn't that the truth?
Hey, God bless you. Send that to me. Send that over to me, Chuck, and I'll hit it every day on the program, I promise. Thank you.
Thanks, Zeb. Have a good day.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. I'll tell you what, saying that you can't say mom and dad, and you shouldn't say boys and girls, and this idiocy of, no, you can't say Merry Christmas anymore. My goodness sakes, you can't say ladies and gentlemen. Oh, just call them people. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you can't make this kind of stuff up. It was sent to me last week, and it says private schools says phrases like mom and dad have to be avoided. They don't have to be avoided. I mean, they're taking these kids and they're turning them into little robots. Thou shalt not say that. Thou shalt not go there. Thou shalt not do this. Oh, come on. Kids are going to be kids, and we need to get out and go back to the basics. Yeah, you know, kind of like the slogan at the end of my program. The way things were are the way things ought to be. Spit in the eye of these crazies and go on. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, that's one way they're starting to take down the Bible, because in the Bible it says God created man and woman.
Yep.
And if you can't say man or woman, then that means the Bible's null and void. That's according to them.
You know, Doug, let me ask you a question here. About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I made the statement that we are just basically a couple of newscasts away, whether it's this week, whether it's next week, or whether it's going to be next month or whatever. The left is absolutely aiming their bows and arrows at the Bible. And if you can't see that with the assault on Christianity and everything, you're wearing blinders and you got earplugs on. This thing is going to happen, and you can bet that they want a rewrite or a stoppage of the Bible. They don't like it.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And I got a couple quotes for today, and I'll let you go. One of them is, just remember, the people that are trying to pull you down are underneath you.
That's good. I like that.
And here's the last one. If you ain't willing to work for it, then don't complain about not having it.
Amen. You know, it says it all. That says it all about this so-called woke society, or the millennial generation with their tin cups and their hands out. I mean, you said it all right there. Thank you so much.
And one thing everybody needs to do is look up that documentary, No Safe Spaces, and watch it.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you get a chance to
I did, and I agree with everything that you said.
I mean, it is worth it. Whether you are on the left or on the right, they're going to eat you if you don't comply.
Yeah. But you know something? It's our fault, because we should be fighting back.
Oh, yes, yes. We've already turned two cheeks.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to turn the other two.
Absolutely. Okay. Right. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. One thing I want to mention to all the seniors out there in the audience, have you thought about this just for a moment in passing? If, let's say that you're over 55, okay? Over 55, and I'm way over 55. Gas and diesel right now are going through the roof. I mean, diesel itself is up over $1, well over $1 from what it was at the end of January. Please come back, Donald Trump. Anyway, the buffoon Biden administration has said that they don't want any more automobiles burning fossil fuels. No more diesel and or gas. And states like California, they're going after some of the used car dealerships, saying, nope, at a certain date you can't sell any more vehicles that are gas vehicles. Wait a minute. Let's assume that you're over 55, 60, 65, whatever, close to my age. You've paid for your vehicle, and it's running fine. It's running good. You take care of it, grease and oil. You make sure that you have a mechanic check it, everything's going good. The car's paid for. But now what they're going to do, this government is going to force you to go buy a brand new electric car. Yeah. And maybe lay out about $60,000. I'm using that as a round figure. I know, less and more. $60,000, finance it and everything, and have a monthly incurrence of a bill that you don't want and or need or possibly can't afford. And also the inconvenience of being stuck with an electric vehicle that's not going to get you from here to there in one sum without you having to stop and sit there for an hour and take out a set of knitting needles or just stare at the birds in a tree while it recharges, if you can find a recharger. This is insane. This is insane, and this is the sham that the Biden administration is going to force us to do over the very next couple of years. And this is not America. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to remind you, big, I mean really big, spring tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Holy cow. They've got all the tires for your cars, your pickups, your SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, whatever you need tires for, all the different tread designs, all the sizes. Woo! Big spring tire sale going on right now. And along with that, don't forget, we're talking the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this from people that really, really care about your driving safety. Absolutely. I urge you to stop in and see any one of the 7 locations: James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Those are the 7 locations serving you, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely the best. What's coming up next hour? We've got a couple of dear friends of mine. Rick Manning from D.C. at 9:06, and then we've got Frosty Woldridge from Colorado at 9:30. Later on at 10:06, John O'Connor, an attorney that really knows what's going on with this mess on the border. And then later on this morning, Dog Days. We got a whole bunch coming up on Zeb at the Ranch. Hope you're having a great day. Get outside and enjoy all the wonders that God has given us. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Sean, take it away. Oh, good morning on a Monday, March 15th. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, of course, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and the best in service. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is landing ahead, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
How do you get on the route service? Why, it is so easy. Just give them a call at 734-6969. Tell them where you live. Tell them you want your garbage picked up. Done deal. You bet they'll help. Western Waste Services, it's true. They are always at your disposal. 734-6969. Want to also give a great big shout out, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to be over there again this afternoon, working on my knees and my hip a little bit, and that's, of course, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with Nick Greenwell and all the top-notch, and I underline the words top-notch physical therapists. They are the best at what they do. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. My, if you're recuperating from an accident or a surgery, please let them help you get back to being you. Number to call, 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. You call them today. Real quick note, too, about our friends over at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, family and staff serving you and your family. And when there's the passing of a loved one, believe me, they are always there providing the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort. And remember this, too, always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. They care. The number to call, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. I look forward to Mondays because I have a dear friend coming on the show that's going to help me calm down and learn how to accept the obvious, the negative from the Biden administration. Good morning to the President of the Americans for Limited Government, Rick Manning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you. Happy Monday.
Rick, I got to tell you that right now We are being besieged with a 1.9 COVID relief bill, which is completely a misnomer when only 9% is going to go towards the COVID generalities of the injections and the medicine, etc. The rest is going to go bail out Democratic cities. Now they're talking about a huge, really big infrastructure bill, which makes no sense to me, with fuel going higher and higher. I can't afford to drive on the renovated roads anyway. And then also basic tax increases. What in the heck's going on back there?
Well, what's going on is Nancy Pelosi's in charge of the House, Chuck Schumer's in charge of the Senate, and Joe Biden's in charge of the executive branch. And, they always sit there and talk about something different when they run. But, and they'll say that the tax increase on the wealthy. But we know that, that the money is in the pockets of the middle class. That's where the money is. And so if you're going to raise $2 trillion, which is what they're talking about, over 10 years, they're going to have to get out of the middle class because that's where the money is. So I think the tax increase they're talking about is kind of like the opening bid. It'll get higher over time because it barely covers the COVID-19, the latest COVID spending spree that just got authorized for 1 year of $1.9 trillion. And he's talking about $2 trillion over 10 years. So that 10-year tax increase will barely cover the latest spend-a-thon. So what's going on is, elections matter except for when Republicans win. At which point you have to have unity and reach across the aisle and stuff. But I'm going to give you some good news, okay? Just a little bit of good news, if you can stand it.
I can.
And it's tied into the COVID relief. As your listeners probably know, the COVID relief bailout of states is targeted towards states that have the highest unemployment rate. And so I want to put this into context for you because just a few minutes ago, the state unemployment rate for January just came out. The state reports just came out. And so I've got new information. I'll have to press this. California, 9%. The overall unemployment rate is 6.3% right now. Okay. California, 9%. District of Columbia, 8.4%. Let's see, who else? Illinois, 7.7%. 7.6% for Louisiana, run by Democrat. Massachusetts, 7.8%. Hawaii Hawaii's really high. Hawaii's the highest in the nation. So Hawaii is about 12.
Wow.
And you go down this list, and basically every single one of the states that are significantly above the 6.3% are Democrat states that have been shut down. The good news is that Idaho is not one of them, and you are looking at, in January, a 3.4% unemployment rate. The reason so you will not be getting much of the $1.9 trillion, but the good news is very few people in Idaho are unemployed right now. Now, they may be underemployed, but a lot of the Biden effect has not taken place in terms of affecting the agriculture sector and the economy and the like. But but as of January, at the end of the Trump administration, Idaho was fully recovered from the COVID-19 economic shutdown, and that's because Idaho reopened. So this is the only information you can derive from this is that the states that are getting the bailout are those that remain shut down. And as a result of them remaining shut down, they purposefully destroyed their economies. And now the rest of us are going to get to pay for it.
Rick, what do you take?
The good news in Idaho is you got low unemployment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is good news. I'm glad to have some good news. But there are other states that I'm very proud of what they're doing, and that's the state of Oklahoma, the state of Texas, Florida with Ron DeSantis. There are states that are taking leadership by the hand, and they're saying, no, we're not going to abide by what the Biden administration says. We're not going to roll down that rabbit hole and have somebody put a rock over the top of the hole. I'm hoping that we can somehow fight back enough until 2022 and get some reestablishment in the House and the Senate of common sense. What are your thoughts?
Well, if the elections were, I think if the elections were held today, that there would be a change in the House. The Democrats are going to work really hard to try to make a case for the $1.9 trillion. They're setting up, $100 million campaigns to convince people that this was a great thing, and the Republicans really don't have anything countering it. But the challenge the Democrats have is simple, and we're just talking politics now. The challenge they have is it's clear that the fact that they were talking about trying to sell the program after it already passed, after having 50 days to sell the program before it passed, tells you everything you need to know about the inability of the White House to deliver a message. And the reason they can't deliver a message is because neither Joe Biden nor Kamala Harris can deliver a message. And we could argue, we can talk about that for different reasons that they can't. But the fact that they didn't have Joe Biden on the road pushing the COVID-19 and thing to all the Democrat districts where they needed help and going after the incumbent senators, the Republican senators who are up for election in tougher states like Wisconsin, the fact that he wasn't beating the heck out of Republican senators every day on the road the way Donald Trump would have, tells you everything you need to know about the disability in the White House, and that is he can't do that. He can't perform the political function as president, and it's because otherwise somebody like me would be sitting there and he would be telling him, you're on the road, and you're on the road for the next 2 weeks nonstop. The first week's getting it passed, second week's praising the Democrat senators who voted for it, and attacking the Republicans who voted against it. That's the bully pulpit. He doesn't have the capacity to use it. And that is their biggest disability, and that if you had any doubts, any doubts about the president's capability right now, his own staff tells you what the situation is, because they're not doing basic political stuff that anybody would do. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to describe what I just described. This is like, politics 101, and they're not doing it, and they're not stupid people. So the fact they're not doing it tells you that they don't have the horse to ride.
With that being said, though, Rick, when do you think that the very biased media, the CNNs, MSNBCs, etc., are finally going to say, well, wait a minute, enough. We haven't heard from this president, no press conference, no questions, be they watered down or what, no answers to any questions whatsoever. How much longer do you think will this love affair with letting Biden off the hook continue?
I think that he will get as long of a honeymoon period as it takes to get his people into place and get the hard executive orders done. And by his people, I mean the not his people, but the left in place. The Kamala Harris would have much more opposition than Joe Biden would. And so they need to milk him for as long as they can. And once they've gotten what they can get out of him, you'll start hearing little chatter that, he's declining and there's problems. And then but when when they'll really go is when former President Obama says something and expresses concerns. At that point, that's when they basically, you can look for a month before he either resigns or gets removed. So you kind of have to look for signs, but don't expect the media to cover it.
Absolutely. Rick,
until they're told to.
Absolutely. Rick, H.R. 1 is more of a concern to me than anything else. I've read it, I've studied it, I've looked at the heinous activities within the bill to have a complete control over our voting and a complete laxity with the mail ballots, the absentee ballots, no ID, etc. I think this bill somehow has got to be stopped. I want your thoughts, please.
Yeah, H.R. 1 is a complete takeover of our electoral system, and it's being done by people who just lectured us for the last 4 months about how states have control over their elections, and somehow governors are able to change the election laws in the middle of without getting legislative approval, in violation of their own state constitutions. But the court certainly came down on that side, and now the Congress, the House of Representatives, has passed a bill that is an anathema to the idea of having any voter integrity in the system. A couple of key points on it. Number one, you have they would dictate that federal lists of people would be that everything from everybody who pays taxes to the IRS, everybody gets welfare, all the people who are on different federal rolls would be automatically registered to vote. Secondly, they don't say citizens, by the way, they just say people. Secondly, they would allow for and insist upon mail ballots to people with no voter identification laws whatsoever. And no voter, and not even scrubbing the list to make sure people lived in the places where they were registered to vote at. And that those were legal places where you can receive a ballot. So you would essentially it would open up the door to millions, as we had this year actually, millions of ballots that are not secure in any way, shape, or form. And there'd be no recourse under this law. It would essentially be print them and ship them and ask no questions, and then keep counting until the Democrats win. And that's essentially the bill. It also does some other things. A group like mine, we would be compelled to say who our donors are. And the reason that matters is, first of all, it's unconstitutional because Alabama v. NAACP back in the 50s, the state of Alabama attempted to get the membership list of the NAACP. The NAACP said, no, if I give you my membership list, you will then engage in harassing activity against the people who are giving us money. And the Supreme Court came in and said, no, Alabama, you're wrong. NAACP does not have to give you their membership list, and they will not give you your membership list. Well, that same law applies to groups like Americans for Limited Government, where the part that you don't get a tax deduction from our foundation, you get a tax deduction. The other group which does the political advocacy, you do not. But I don't have to turn over people's contributors' names to the IRS for that exact reason and under the law. And they want to be able to get their hands on those names so they can cancel anybody who gives money to conservative groups. That's the whole reason behind it. It's straightforward, and they don't, and they make no bones about it. So there's a lot of threats to the entire system here. But basically, it's the right to cheat law, and that's what they're trying to do. And we have to make certain that senators stand up and don't vote for stop it from being becoming law by filibustering it and trying to hold people like Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, John Tester, others who said they oppose the ending the filibuster, make them have to pay the price in terms of saying no, we're not going to put the right to cheat law into effect and eliminate the one person, one vote system in America.
Absolutely. Rick, I want to shift gears in the last couple of minutes of this segment, and I want to tell you this, first of all, before I phrase it in a question. I've talked over the last couple of days to friends of mine that I know on the Arizona border and the Texas border. They are living in fear 24/7. They are taking weapons with them when they go out early in the morning to check on their cattle and or do any of the farming practices in those areas. They are scared and they're not being protected. This massive display of letting illegal aliens come in and control the United States borders is absolutely repulsive. Is anything, in your opinion, ever going to be done by this Biden administration?
By the Biden administration, no. I'm hopeful that in Arizona, and I know Texas is beginning to mobilize National Guard to the border to try to control the border, since it is their border also. I would hope that Arizona would do the same, but I've got friends who live as far away as 100 miles from the border who are having their fences cut, and essentially have people meandering across their property, and to be Pastor Greg, this is a problem because in so many different ways. But some of the people who are coming across are the MS-13 people, and the people being run by the cartels, and essentially are being run to set up and to bolster criminal networks that have already been established in the United States. And those people are really, they're not the people we want. They're bad people, and they're dangerous. Some of them are people who are coming across the border from other nations who have bad intent for the United States, and they're dangerous. But some of the people who are coming across, and the majority of the people coming across, are people who are living in desperately poor circumstances in Central America, and who essentially the Biden administration invited into the country by saying they were going to get amnesty. And the people who their support groups, their C3 and C4 groups that are working down in those communities, basically are shipping people up. Because those people don't have the money to get up here.
That's right.
But they're being given money by people to come up to America. And they're being taken advantage of. Many of the women are being raped. The children are being raped. They're being trafficked into sex slave industry, into various cartel-controlled economic ventures where, let's put it this way, the minimum wage doesn't apply. And so we're seeing a human tragedy as well as a national security tragedy, and it's all in Joe Biden. The cages for kids, up 700% the occupancy of those places. And I have a guy who does video, who's down, a broadcast guy who lives on the border, and he did a story last week, video of people just streaming across the border with no stoppage at all, because they didn't. All the delay on building the wall caused us not to finish the wall, and that was what the other side was trying to do all along. So you have some choke points where the wall has been completed, and you don't have problems there. But in other places, the wall has not been completed, and you do have problems. You have people going across the Rio Grande River in little boats, and being ferried across by people that pay money to. And some of them are little kids who are scrambling up the sides of the banks of the river. It is a dangerous situation that Joe Biden has opened the door for. His policies are responsible, and it's deliberate because they're trying effectively. They are attempting to jimmy the electoral system, and it's deliberate electoral politics. Has nothing to do with human compassion. And what I do about it personally is I give money to support job opportunities in Honduras, on mission fields in Honduras, and I don't do Honduras where my church focuses, because if we can get people to have a stake in their own country and get them trained in jobs in their own country so they can make a living, we can accomplish that. They don't come here.
Amen. Amen.
So that's the practical thing I do. And then on the legislative front, the Republicans are just going to have to say no on the funding bills. When there's the funding bill that funds border security, they're going to have to tell the Biden administration very specifically how they have to spend that money, and force the Democrats to stand up and fight for ending our ending our borders.
Amen.
So
Amen.
It's a hard situation, but we can't have open borders.
Amen. Rick, every Monday you shed some light on various aspects of stories that I'm sure the general public doesn't think about, and you bring it to light. Thank you so much. President of Americans for Limited Government, my friend, Rick Manning. God bless you, sir. Look forward to next Monday. Have a great, great day.
You too, Giuseppe. Take care.
All right. Thank you much. Really appreciate that man being on the program. Rick Manning, thank you. By the way, Lunch Bunch is coming back. It's going to be here on April 1st. That's not an April Fool's joke. It's for real. We're going to be at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, at 611 North Oberlin in Burley on April 1st. Our return to the Lunch Bunches. I'll tell you what, we're looking forward to it. And they've got some new delicious menu choices. Oh my goodness, how about the Nashville hot chicken melt? Whoa! With Nashville hot sauce, light up your life at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley. Great, great people serving you the best of food. Don't forget, breakfast, lunch, and dinner anytime, all the time at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Want to also give a great big shout out to our friend Todd. Hello, Todd and the crew over at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and a whole bunch more. These people are really thoughtful and caring and devoted to serving you. All you need to do is just pick up the phone and dial the number, make an appointment, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, right on the curve on Highway 24 going into Rupert. Can't miss them. Cameron and Siemens Insurance in Rupert, 436-4424. Really, really good people. Oh, and by the way, one other note that I've got to tell you about, as soon as I can find it in my list here, Redder Showcase is having a great big March Madness at Redder Showcase at 2611 Overland in Burley. Holy moly! You better get in and register for prizes. They're going to have over $6,000 worth of prizes to give away. That's right. And they're going to announce the winners on March 27th. Hey, they got special purchase deluxe queen mattresses now just starting at $4.99. And they've got all the Whirlpool, Amana, Maytag, KitchenAid appliances. Woohoo! Great buys for the March Madness going on at Redder Showcase. 2611 Overland and Burley. You stop in and see these really good folks today and save money. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and I want to preface my introduction of this man by saying every single thing, and I mean this, that he has mentioned to us on this program over the last I don't know how many years about illegal aliens and illegal immigration and the effects and the causes. He has been spot on. He studies it. He knows exactly what's going on. And boy, I cannot wait to hear his remarks about the devastation that's being caused by our No Borders campaign with the Biden administration. Here's Golden, Colorado's Frosty Woolridge. Good morning.
Well, and good morning, Zeb, and happy springtime to the rest of you, because we're looking. I looked out my door this morning, and I'm literally have to go out and shovel 3 feet of snow.
Oh my! Well, I will say this: please keep it there.
Right. Well, the cool thing about living in Colorado is probably by Wednesday or Thursday, most of it will be completely melted, because it really gets warm quickly, and it'll be up in the 70s before the end of the week. So it'll all work out. But it brought a lot of fantastic moisture. So the woods needed it, the ground needed it. I don't know, most people don't realize it, but the West right now is in what is called an exceptional drought. And we're 4 years into an exceptional drought. And the consequences are that the topsoil is so dry that it is literally making all of the wood and all of the kindling and all the forest floors ready to burn. And so more than likely we're going to see some more horrific fires here in the summer of 2021. So we're thankful for this massive snowstorm, and hopefully we gain more either snowstorms or rain in the coming weeks.
All right, you mentioned massive fires. Well, I'll tell you what, we're in for a massive combustible type attitude on the borders. Frosty, I don't know what to do. Every time I pick up a newspaper, every time I turn on a newscast, radio or TV, whatever, I am absolutely besieged with the stupidity and the ineptness, I think, that is on purpose from this Biden administration to absolutely open our borders up and let the taxpayers have to foot the bill for literally millions of illegal aliens that want to come in here. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'll give you the latest figures on that. In January, it was only 9,000 illegals had crossed the border, and last month it was 104,000. And this month it could be another 104,000. They're overwhelming the tents. They're overwhelming the sanitation facilities like toilets and latrines and you name it. They're also having to be fed. Most people don't realize that. You got 104,000 people that just crossed their borders. Many of them children that Mexico is just tossing our way because they can't feed them, they can't sustain them. And think about 100,000. That's 300,000 meals a day. And on top of the fact that we already take in 1 million legal immigrants, and we keep calling them legal immigrants, but essentially they are refugees from around the world and countries that are overpopulated, like Somalia, like Ethiopia, like Sudan, like the Congo, like Indochina, like India, like China itself, and they're all coming over here. And again, in fact, I should have my first copy of my book, America's Overpopulation Predicament, Blindsiding Future Generations, should be in my mailbox here this week. And it explains exactly, and of course all of you who listened to my first 2 hours with Sharon in the past month as to what we're facing, it's not going to be a pretty picture for anyone. And I have to tell you that my two senators are totally incompetent, Hickenlooper and Barron, what's his name? I forget. Michael Bennett. These two guys are open borders guys, and they simply don't understand the consequences of the sheer numbers that are now being literally just, it's an invasion is what it is. And as most people don't realize this, but if all those immigrants were bringing in guns, we would have the entire military out there to fight them off. But instead we're feeding them, which is even more dangerous because they're overwhelming our ability to feed them, sustain them, to put them into any kind of sustainable situation. The schools are going to be completely overwhelmed. And, of course, they're now on the border. I've seen all the latest. They're sleeping in bathrooms in the national parks. They're alongside the roads. Folks, we're really under siege by an overpopulated world. The only answer that I can appreciate is it's just simply going to collapse our systems, and you're going to see an unbelievable chaos on the southern border, and it's going to continue to flood and flow into our big cities where there's just no way to put them. And it's going to turn out just like what you see with those about 62,000 that are homeless in the streets of L.A., and or the 11,000 are homeless in San Francisco, another 6,000 homeless there in Seattle. The homeless, I don't know what numbers are in Chicago, but it's horrific. We have 10,000 homeless here in Denver, Colorado. And the greatest crisis is that our leaders, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all of them, they're the ones that invited these people in. They're the ones that are actually welcoming them in, not into their homes, but they're welcoming them into our taxpayer wallets. And we're the ones that ultimately are going to pay unbelievable amounts of money and degrade our quality of life and our standard of living.
You know, I'm going to say something to you, and feel free to correct me if you don't agree with me, Frosty. But you mentioned the word incompetency when it came to your senators from the state of Colorado. I'm not so sure. And the reason I say that is this. Whether it is Crapo or Risch, our national senators, or whether it's yours or whomever, I'm wondering now if it's not at all connected to incompetency, but something much larger and something far more dangerous. But a big cloud over this nation of control that says, back off, don't say or do anything, this is the way we're going to let them in. That's what I think, and that's what I feel.
I cannot disagree with you, Zeb, and I imagine everybody is nodding their head in agreement listening to this broadcast. And, you know, if you go on social media, and I get a lot of people that go to my Facebook page, Frosty Wooldridge, because I just publish common sense pieces on that, on the front end of that. And as a matter of fact, this morning, if you want to see my latest Dismantling America's Culture, Kermit the Frog is a racist. And you're seeing the American way and the American way of life being degraded, you know, whether it's Meghan Markle, who married Harry, the prince from the UK, and now is demeaning the American people for being so totally racist. And yet, ironically, we take in 1.5 million people of color every year who can't wait to get to America year after year, decade after decade. So whatever is driving this thing, the same thing is happening, because my brother Rex, and you know Rex, you've met Rex.
Yep.
You've had dinner with Rex, and he's over in Norway. And the same leaders over in Norway, they're just bringing them in by the plane loads from Africa, and they're bringing him in from the Middle East, and they're absolutely changing the very foundation of Europe, certainly Sweden. And so if that's their final result, or their final ambition is to destroy the foundation of our ethos, our culture, then they're succeeding. And it's going to be a mess that once they all land here, and my book talks about it, we're going to take in another 100 million immigrants to this country here in the next 29 years.
Yep.
And they are going to destroy the very foundation of America. And if we don't, and I have 3 chapters where I give the solutions, we have to stop all mass immigration into America, because we're not going to survive it with the sheer numbers. So whomever is doing this, it's all of us allowing our own leaders, my Bennett and my Hickenlooper, to do this to us. Then we all are going to be in this nightmare of a Titanic-like course, which will end up like the Titanic and literally destroy the entire United States of America. That's what I see coming. And it's not. I really don't have any positive outcomes here, and I didn't have any particular positive outcomes in my book, and that's why one person said, this is a book of horribles, and all you've done is stated the horribles, and he called them horribles. I just said, these are just nothing but the facts, and as these facts manifest, all of us, and every person in every state in the Union, whether it's in Idaho or whether it's in Seattle, Washington, or in L.A., I mean, there's none of us are going to escape this, no matter what our race, creed, or color. We're not going to escape it whether we're rich or poor, because when the systems start breaking down, and they break down dramatically as we get more and more numbers, we're all going to become victims of this. I can't say this enough, Seb, because that's what's coming.
Well, and here's the thing that makes me so outrageously mad over the weekend. I watched many stories on this broken borders or no borders policy. They get across our border, they get on a bus, and they may be MS-13 members. They may be murderers. They may be gang members. They may be COVID carriers, and we are running them all over the country, whether it's Baltimore, whether it's Boise, whether it's Tupelo, Mississippi, doesn't make any difference. And once they're here, they're here. We're paying the bill.
We are paying the bill. and we're going to pay an even bigger bill. You know, most people sit there and they say, well, we're all going to get all these $1,400 checks. If you really look at that $1.9 trillion passage of that bill that went through, it's unbelievable where they put the money. As a matter of fact, if you take 330 million of us, that's all of the men, women, and children, and they would have put it to us, the American people, we should have all received a check that was well over $6,000 each. But instead, they had money going out to Saudi Arabia. They had money going to everywhere but here. They got money going into illegal aliens' pockets and businesses. And in the end, that $1.9 trillion, essentially $2 trillion, guess what? That's all borrowed money. Mm-hmm. They borrowed it from China. They borrowed it from everywhere else that they could. And we're going to have to pay the interest on that, which is into the billions and billions and billions of dollars. So that's not free money, and that's not solving anything. We're at $28 trillion in debt. Well, we just got put to $30 trillion in debt, and the bill is going to have to be paid at some point. But the interest rates on that bill right now are just beyond imagination. But what is so sickening is those leaders in Congress, the ones that passed that bill, they gave that money to more people than you can imagine that don't even have no business, obtaining that money from the American taxpayer dollar. So we're in a catch-22 situation, and at some point, that catch-22 is going to have to be paid, and it's going to be paid by all of us, the American people, the ones that actually are the bedrock of this society. And it's not going to be a pretty picture when that bill comes due.
Well, it's not just the bill coming due. It's the absolute slap in the face or kneecapping of the American public. I don't want to pay for anybody else other than helping American citizens. But now we're being forced and coerced into taking care of the housing, the food, and, of course, all the healthcare amenities, etc., to people that are drug abusers, drug users, and, of course, also murderers, gang members. Holy smokes, the American public should be outraged, and the American public should be standing on the border with 22s and BB guns.
Well, they certainly should be. And let me just go back. 104,000 stampeded across the borders in February. Okay, those are all illegal aliens. I don't know what the number was in children, but it was the Border Patrol came out with the figure of 104,000 in February, 9,000, which was the normal flow in January before Biden got to be president, and then simply said, yeah, come one, come all. We're going to give you an amnesty. We're going to welcome you, and so forth. Folks, not only was that 104,000, but it was 100,000 more legal immigrants that came in, and most of them go on welfare.
Yeah.
What else can they do? We have 10 million Americans unemployed right now, 10 million Americans, and so I ask you, what kind of common sense does it make to import another 100 million legal immigrants or refugees or whatever you want to call them that are all going to go on welfare? Again, when you think about what's going on in Washington, D.C., and I just wrote, I wrote Bennett and I just wrote Hickenlooper, and I wrote him a 15-point, what have you done to stop illegal immigration? Well, Bennett's been in there for 10 years. He's done nothing. He's an open borders guy. What have you done to stop all the anchor babies? Well, he's done nothing, and we're paying for 300,000 anchor babies every year. Their hospitalization, their birth, and then K through 12, and then Section 8 housing, and then, of course, EBT cards. I go right on down. What have you done to get us out of Iraq and Afghanistan, where we've spent $6 trillion? And, of course, he said nothing. He's done nothing to change that. And, of course, then I get a nice little form letter back. Well, we really appreciate your views, and it's really wonderful, and you're such a fine citizen, and you're really sticking up for the Constitution. Well, guess what? Those guys aren't doing anything to stick up for or abide by the Constitution. And so if this continues, and I have no doubt that it's going to continue, we are simply going to continue to be degraded down into the depths of a third world country. And I have to admit, in my book I talk about it, India is the largest democracy in the world, but it has well over 300 languages. It has hundreds of different ethnic groups. seriously. None of them get along. They are shared mutual misery. They keep having babies to think that they can have more power in their democracy, but instead they have more misery. Well, that's India. Well, guess what? India is what America is moving toward. Our country is moving toward an overpopulated, multiculturalized, diversified, beyond understanding country where nobody has anything to do with anybody, and there simply isn't any kind of commonality to hold us as American citizens. And I have to say that I think that the baby boomers will probably be the last bedrock Americans in the small towns. In fact, I was asked, I think it was last week on this show, one of the callers said, well, do you think this is all going to blow over and are we going to maintain the country? And at the time I said, well, I think it's going to blow over. I don't think it's going to blow over. I thought about it, and I want to thank that caller for coming out and saying that. You know what I think? I think bedrock America, whether it's, Murtaugh, Idaho, or it's going to be Boise, small town America, is going to maintain itself. But I think the big cities, Los Angeles is just going to start absolutely. It's not going to be able to feed the people that are there. The homeless are going to grow. You got 4 million illegals. You've got an underground economy. You have no taxes to pay for these people. You're going to start seeing the prisons are going to continue to explode. So really, here in America, about the best thing you can hope for is that bedrock America, the small towns America, are going to at least survive and have some kind of reasonable American way of life and culture and English language and cohesiveness. But we're going to see in 2021 and beyond, we're going to see massive conflict with BLM. Antifa's growing. They still don't stop their complete busting up of things up there in Portland, Oregon. And you're going to see, and every time some black person or some minority person gets shot for stealing something, and that's going to happen, BLM's going to come in there, and there's going to be more riots and more looting and more mayhem. That's what I see coming here in 2021, and I don't see any way out of it. So that's my I re-examined my answer from last week, and that's my new answer this week. We're in a lot of trouble.
Well, and I'll say it this way and wrap up this segment. I am sick and tired, and I'm past being sick and tired. I'm just absolutely teed off. Our government comes over and pats us, the American taxpayer, on the head, pats us on the head, tells us to go sit down in the corner and get out our checkbook and write a check for all this garbage. I'm fed up with it.
I'm fed up with it, too, but it's coming, and it's because my 2 senators, my House members here in Colorado, your 2 senators and your House member are doing the same thing to screw you and screw the American people, because you notice they haven't done a darn thing to stop illegal immigration into this country for the last 10, 20, 30, now 40 years.
Amen.
They're simply allowing it to happen, or they're welcoming it to happen, and we are all going to pay one nasty, severe price in the coming years.
Amen. Amen. Frosty Woldridge, a dear friend, and he did this whole program standing by his back door, leaning on a snow shovel. God bless you, man. See you next week.
All right. Thank you, Zach.
All right. Take care. Frosty Woldridge telling it like it is, and we appreciate it. And right now I got to tell it like it is with the weather forecast brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. They are the professionals providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area and beyond for well over 50 years. They are good at what they do, serving you. Tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, all of this and so much more by people that really, really know, because they are the professionals. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
A relatively mild week. Today it's going to be beautiful. Here is a look at your weather forecast. Today we are expecting partly sunny skies, a light breeze out of the east at about 6 miles an hour with a high of close to 61. Tonight clouds rolling in. Low of about 31. Tomorrow partly sunny skies, high of about 50. Winds out of the west at about 7 miles an hour. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies with a low of 31. By Wednesday, back to sunshine, high close to 57. That's look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. Always a very well done forecast. And, of course, I know somebody else that gets everything well done. And that's, of course, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. You know, this is a very, very busy time of the year, and they are serving you, as I said, with the very best of tax return preparation. They can help you, your family, and your business. Offices at 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. The professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Holy cow, what have we got coming up next hour? We've got John O'Connor, a lawyer, and we're going to continue the conversation about what's happening or not happening on our borders. And appreciate John taking the time to come on our show this morning. Want to also give a great big shout-out to Patterson's Electronics. Oh, my goodness sakes. Curtis and Lorena, and they are there Monday through Saturday, serving you with all your electronic needs. Oh, my goodness. You got to get in there. They've got we're getting ready for spring, and people are going to be out, going to the beach, going to the lake, and they're going to be going to the park. They've got all the car stereos and the speakers and the complete sound systems, and if you have questions, they've got the answers. Believe me. All the home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, they know. I mean, they absolutely can recite chapter and verse. They understand all of this. They are the best at what they do. Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Pardon me. And they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Don't forget the telephone number to give them a call, 678-6997. Patterson's Electronics. I mentioned this before this morning, and I'm going to say it again, that yes, we are, and it's true, Virginia, we're going to have Lunch Bunch starting up again, and that's going to be on Thursday, April 1st. I know. You're sitting there going, oh, it's an April Fool's joke. No, it's not. It's for real. And it's going to be, like I said, at Denny's restaurant, and we're really looking forward to it. Going to have a lot of fun, a lot of prizes, and we want to fill the place up, folks. We got to make it work. And so I urge everybody to plan to bring your friends and neighbors, Aunt Martha, Uncle Joe, all these folks, to Denny's restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley on Thursday, April 1st for our resurgence of Lunch Bunch. Going to be a lot of fun, and we will plan to have you there. Don't forget 10:06 John O'Connor. Then 10:32 this morning, Dog Days with Lisa filling in for Deb, and that's coming up this next hour. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Sean. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. Oh my, hour number 3 on this Monday, March 15th. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and service. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Want to also remind you about our dear friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. Boy, with the coming of spring and you want to just redo things and make things more comfortable and more beautiful, well, get on in there for the comfortization of your home and the beautification of your home at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. They're having a big sale right now on mattresses in stock. And don't forget, window coverings are 40% off. Holy smokes, they've got all your furniture, all your recliners, all your bedroom sets. What are you waiting for? Get in there today and see Jeff and the crew at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Saturdays, 10 to 4. One other quick note before we get our guest on the program this morning. I want to remind you about Marcus Meek Guitar Lessons. Here is a guy that absolutely can teach all styles of guitar. I mean, he knows them all. What an amazing teacher. And he's giving lessons Monday through Thursday Thursdays, 2 to 6 p.m. And he's also available to play at your banquets and your dinners. Don't forget, learn to play the guitar the right way. Call Marcus Meek Guitar Lessons right now at 1459 Conant Avenue in Burley, 312-9093. That number again, 312-9093. And learn how to play the guitar. Man, I'm almost tempted to buy a guitar and learn how to do that myself. I used to years and years ago. I'd love to have a refresher course. Well, right now, we're going to get a refresher course on what's going on in the world, and that's, of course, with former attorney and author of the book Postgate, How the Washington Post Betrayed Deep Throat, Covered Up Watergate, and Began Today's Partisan Advocacy Journalism. Whew, all of that with my friend John O'Connor. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, morning, Zeb.
How are things in John O'Connor world? I haven't had a chance to visit with you for a long time.
Well, I'm here in wonderful California. We're, of course, in the process of trying to recall our governor. The state is crazy. People are moving out. Who knows what's going to happen? We haven't had a fire in a couple months, so life is actually fairly good in California right now. But you know, this whole thing with the border is something that's going to affect us all. Nobody's paying, well, they're paying some attention to it in the border states, but, you know, Biden invites everybody, all these illegal immigrants into the country, and, of course, encourages them to come across the border, say the word asylum, and they can stay. Then having done that, that's the first step. Having done that, the Biden administration says, well, we've got this rush of people coming over. We can't possibly deal with our normal priorities and enforce our laws as we should, so we're going to take a 100-day moratorium. Well, gee, that's so the states are obviously upset about that. So that's one of the things that's happening. And of course, the other thing that nobody thinks about is when Trump tried to build the border wall and actually ended up doing a decent job of getting the thing going, he had to look for different categories from which he could pull money, and he was constantly being challenged. Oh, you can't spend this, you can't spend that. And he ended up doing it, but he got out of existing funds earmarked by Congress for certain categories. Now, what happens when you invite hundreds of thousands of people into the country? You necessarily are going to incur costs. Well, you know, it's kind of an interesting way to do it. You know, I mean, it's like Trump built the border wall and could say, okay, now you guys pay for it. He didn't do that. He got the money first. Nobody has allocated money for what Biden is doing. So somebody's going to have to pay for it. So right now he's having FEMA, he's calling on FEMA to come down there. And, of course, this is not what FEMA's for, but they will be inadequate to the task. So here we are when we can least afford it. We are now having all these people come in, and we have to provide services for them. A lot of money, and also there's a lot of COVID-infected people coming in, which, again, is not really good for the country. So I'd love to I'd love to say there's something really good in that. So maybe that's a long-winded answer to your short question, but I think from that aspect, we have some long-term harm coming our way.
You know, John, let me ask you, you kind of gave a summation of what the problem is and how it's been exacerbated, but it's got to stop. I mean, as a taxpayer, I don't want one more damn dime to go to possibly finding housing for MS-13, or possibly finding housing for drug runners or drug abusers or COVID carriers or perhaps murderers, anybody that's coming across the border. I'm sick of this. We have got to have a closed border system to where if you qualify, yes, you can come in. But this open border system is going to kill the American taxpayer.
Well, that's right. We already have tremendous debt, and it's a real problem. Forget about the border for a while. We have a real problem with our debt, and now we're exacerbating it. First of all, this stupid COVID bill, which really isn't a COVID bill. I don't mind people getting checks that need it. That's fine. I think most Americans say, okay, fine. Maybe hopefully this will be the last time we do it, but let's pay people who have really been hit by
of it's just all about pork. It's a replay of what Obama did when he spent $800 million supposedly to get the country out of recession for all these wonderful shovel-ready jobs. Haven't yet made the shovel. So it's getting worse and worse. And now what happens if we cause inflation? I mean, all the progressives love to talk about tipping points. But if you get to the point where you're spending so much money and borrowing so much money, sooner or later, the interest rate is going to go up on these T-bills you're selling to finance them. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, all of a sudden our expenditures are going to double or triple. I mean, if you go from 1 or 1.5% or 2% on a bond, and now you have to pay 6%, what is that? 4 times 400% higher? You're going to have to pay an interest. How can we handle that? Already we're just spiraling downhill. So I don't know where it all ends. Then what happens is there's a little squib today that said, "Oh, gee, Biden is looking for ways to pay for what he just did." Mm-hmm. Well, that means higher taxes. That means less business activity. We had a business sector here that's just roaring and ready to roar again, thanks to a lot of the stuff we've done in the last 4 years. And now there are going to be some brakes put on with taxing and so forth. You're going to see a lot of manufacturers and other businesses go overseas, which makes sense because you may have a business very good that's living on an 8% margin. 8% is great, but if your taxes go up 10%, or if your costs go up 10% because of taxes, you're not in good shape. So I think we are really at a point where there has to be some voices raised. I've been saying this. This is where our weak media comes into play. They do not say anything. If I were a moderate Democrat, which I'm not, I'd love there were such a thing, but if I were a moderate Democrat voter out there, I would say, where's my covering fire? I'm just as mad as the Republicans are at this, but where's my media helping us out? Yeah. If you're a moderate congressman on the Democratic side, you've got no covering fire. You can't scream and yell at your caucus for what they're doing because the media will not speak up and not put pressure on these ridiculous progressive policies. Really, we're being ruled by maybe a 20%, 10% of the people who really are committed to this progressive stuff, and yet that's how we're being ruled. It's not really functioning well.
Well, John, Mom and Dad Main Street with their businesses were told to close, lock their doors. They were told that everybody had to wear a mask. They were told that nobody could come into their business. They were told to stay home. But yet at the same time, we're still trying to recover and recuperate from COVID and the idiocy, and that's what it is, of Biden's administration, of letting people across the border as COVID carriers, and Main Street America is being told to close and shut down. This is insanity, and people need to revolt against it.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it is. The seeds have been planted. They're ready to mix metaphors, ready to explode right now. So, I mean, it's terrible. We've got to rise up. We've got to yell and scream. And that's why I say I think it's sooner or later the major media have got to pick up on this and put some pressure on these folks politically. Right now it's not happening. People are just twiddling their thumbs and whistling past the graveyard here. But Main Street America cannot take this. This really kills Main Street America. It's hard enough for us to pay for everything we want to pay for domestically, internally, and now we're inviting people in that many of them, not many, but I mean, too many of them are criminals. I mean, not all of them are criminals, obviously, but a nice little percentage of them are. And then they're COVID carriers, or just simply cartel people that they're dragging in here, cartel customers, I guess, that are coming in with their wristbands on. No, none of this is good. None of this is good. How much is in terms of drug distribution is going to be increased because of this. What is the cartel doing on that? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not a cartel guy, but I don't think the answer's good.
Well, John, I honestly believe, and you're an attorney, you know more about this than I ever will, but I think that every state, tell me if you think I'm wacky on this, but I think every state's attorney general, like Florida's Ashley Moody, every one of them ought to in unison tell the Biden administration, hey, that's it, we're all going to sue your administration over immigration directives that are hurting American taxpayers, and if we've got 50 AGs pointing their finger at Biden with a lawsuit, that's got to have some effect.
Well, I would think, and I'll say this, that what I like about both Texas and Florida's suit, and I hope Arizona's suing too. I'm just not up on that if Arizona's sued. But remember this, the Trump administration made a deal with these border states that they wouldn't change the policy without an agreement with the border states. Now Biden's reneging on that agreement. And I think the Texas suit is pretty good because the Texas suit says, hey, you can't change the law without going through what they call the Administrative Procedures Act. You can't just issue a piece of paper that says, okay, we're not going to enforce these laws. That's like a rule or a regulation at the very least, and you got to go through a process on that. So hopefully these lawsuits can do something. I personally think that unless there's an uproar that really is noticeable, that the Biden administration is not just going to ignore people like you and me. That's what I think. And the roar has to get too loud, has to get deafening for them to do anything. I mean, this is terrible. What he's doing right now is just terrible. And you also hear, Zeb, that in this search for money, there are some Democrats that are saying, well, of course, we can't have a military like we've got now. We've probably got to cut down on military spending. Mm-hmm. Well, one of our country's great strengths is our military, and now we're going to cut that down. It's already stretched to the limit. So there are a lot of consequences here. And the Biden administration is just doing it willy-nilly. I love it. You know, they talk about the climate as having a tipping point. Oh, my God, if there's one other automobile that spews a bit of carbon out there, oh, that's terrible, terrible, terrible. Oh, we can't do that. But yet, look at what they're unleashing at the border.
Yeah.
I mean, just how about it just from a climate perspective is not good. I mean, not climate. I'm really saying an environmental perspective. I don't think they affect climate. But from an environmental perspective, it's not good, you know. And so the whole thing is damaging. There's not any good thing. What's good about it? There's nothing good about it, except for Biden thinks he might be producing more Democratic voters.
Let me ask you a question, John, and again, you know so much more about this than I do. Let's use Texas as an example. And let's say the governor, Greg Abbott, says, all right, we're going to put the National Guard that's in my state up and down the Rio Grande and all over our border. Arizona governor does the same thing. And they don't have enough manpower. Can they ask and or receive from other states, be it Utah or be it New Mexico or any other state, and employ the list of help from their governors of those various states to put more manpower on the border? In other words, can states start to flex their muscle against the federal government for not doing what they're supposed to do, and that's protect the American people?
Well, you've got that's a great idea, and the Biden people are going to fight on that one. If the more that happens, first of all, the governors can ask for help from other governors, and that's very common for one governor to lend his National Guard troops to another to help them out. And in fact, that happened when all the governors helped out the national government in Washington D.C. For Trump when they were burning down D.C. Mm-hmm. But here's the problem. The problem is that the Biden administration is going to try to prevent the National Guard from enforcing the laws. They're going to say, look, that's my job. I'm the president. You cannot enforce the immigration laws as National Guardsmen. That's not what you're there for. I'm your commander-in-chief. I'm commanding you not to do that. And then you get into a real messy state versus federal concept because the governors are supposed to be running the National Guard. I would argue very strongly that it's okay for a governor to employ the National Guard as he sees fit. It's there. It's his. He's got control over the National Guard. Each state does. And they also can enforce their own state's laws. So why not do it? I side with you on this, Zeb, and I think that's a really good thing to do, and I think it's okay for other states to bring the National Guard in.
In the first paragraph...
That might be the way to bring this thing to a head, is for people to do that and see what Biden's going to try to, it will call their bluff. It'll call Biden's bluff because really they don't want anything enforced at the border.
Absolutely. And here's the thing that drives me nuts. Our own Constitution, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense. The common defense. Our borders are our common defense. And this imbecilic administration is not doing that.
Well, that's right. You think about it, it's foreign nationals invading our country illegally. That's what they're doing. It's plain and simple. You don't need to go beyond that. And you're absolutely right. Why shouldn't the National Guard be able to stop an invasion of illegal immigrants? I think they can. What you're going to find, though, is that Biden's going to try to come in and pull rank. And that's a toss-up question there. And, when the country was formed, the federal government was not supposed to have that much power, but the Constitution does give the commander-in-chief a lot of power over the armed forces. You get into a little bit of a... But this is not the National Guard is not the national militia. They're state militias that can sometimes be federalized, but they don't need to be federalized. And if the state is willing to pay for those National Guardsmen, well, then they ought to be able to use them. So I agree with you. And what I like about your plan, your idea is it would call attention to this. It is a crisis. There's not enough sense that this is a serious, serious problem. The people on the border know it. They're up in arms. But they don't necessarily aren't reaching the people in Illinois or in, New Hampshire or wherever. Everyone should be aware that this is hurting us all.
Absolutely.
It's a terrible, terrible thing. So I'd like to see something like that, Zeb, and maybe people wake up.
One final thought, and it's so easy for me on the show to show my complete dislike and disdain for Biden and the Democrats. But I also have to point my finger at the other side of the aisle, with the Republicans. When in the world and why are they ever going to sit there without a backbone and stand up and start shouting, yelling, screaming, slamming their boots on the table, whatever, against what's going on? They all act like a bunch of sheep that are following right over the cliff.
Well, that's been happening for many, many years in the Republican Party, where they've been afraid to really stand up and have backbone. And they're so cowed by the media, by the same media I've been talking about, that, I want to be friends with the New York Times, the Washington Post. I don't want people to rain down on me. And that's one of the good things that Trump did. He came in and he said, I don't care what these people are saying, what the fake news is saying. We're going to stand up and fight for what's right. And he gave a little bit of backbone to people out there. He gave a little bit of backbone. But here we are, we're regressing again, and people are afraid. And that's one of the things that happens when people, impeach Trump and do all this and that. It has an effect down the line. And a lot of people crawl back in their holes and are not willing to get out there and stand up and say, darn it, this is right. So hopefully you're going to see that, and you're going to, and I like the fact that Trump is withholding his name from the RNC. He's going to make everybody stand up and be counted. That's what he's trying to do, and I think it's a good thing.
I've got a call, but I'm going to caution both the caller and you, John. I've only got 2 minutes left, so it's got to be quick or I'm going to have to cut it off. Go ahead, caller, real fast.
Well, Trump did a lot of things for us, and he showed us how to stand up and fight. And I think the 80 million people who believe in Donald John Trump are probably still out there fighting. It's just that we're being kicked in the teeth. Don't you think the states, 37 states have Republican legislatures, don't you think they can figure out a way to put up a fight and can take control of their state back, including their borders? I'll hang up.
John, real quick, go ahead and respond.
I think you could, but the last election was a bad sign because some of the state legislatures that should have taken action on this election didn't take it, and they were Republican legislatures. So that answers that question to some degree. I agree with you. I wish they would take more action at the state level, and the state voters have got to put pressure on their state legislatures. I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more.
Former Assistant United States Attorney in Northern California, author John O'Connor. John, you got to come back. I always look forward to having your viewpoint on my program. God bless you, man. Thanks so much.
I'd love to talk to you, man. All right, good. Talk to you later.
All right, John. Thank you very much. John O'Connor. And I always look forward to having him on my program, and I'm going to put his paper right now on my list of people to call back soon, and we'll have him back for another segment. I want to remind you about Save on Shells. Yes, Anthony, and the great business he has at 1827 Overland Avenue in Burley. Save on Shells. This is camper shell season, and you'd better get in there and check it out. He's got over 90 camper shells right there in stock. I mean, they're all over. And if he doesn't have just the color combination you want for your pickup, he can order it. You better believe it. Check it out today. He's got the great ARE camper shells. I know they're great because I have one. Save on Shells, 1827 Overland in Burley, 312-1525. Call Anthony today at Save on Shells. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Sean. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. Don't go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
On Mondays at this time, we always talk to Deb Hines at Minidoka Animal Control. And Deb's had to go in for some medical reasons this morning. She's not on our program, but she's referred us to another lady that's going to help us this morning on Dog Days. Hello, Lisa. How are you?
Good morning. I am doing great. How about you, Bill?
Well, great. And it's so nice to have you on the program, and our best wishes go out to Deb. And Sean, we got just a touch of feedback there, if you would, please. Lisa, what's your official title at Minidoka Animal Control?
I help out in the office, and I do a lot of the paperwork, and then I just kind of help out doing other things as needed, mainly like cleaning up puppy poop and stuff.
Oh, my. Right to the top of the ladder, huh? Okay.
Oh, yes. But, where else can you go to get a job where you just get to hold a puppy all day and be loved, and it's awesome. I love it.
Lisa, I've said this to Deb quite a few times. I'd like to get your response to it. It just leaves me, I can't figure this out. I mean, I'm 73 years old. I'm an old man, but I've been around animals all my life, born and raised on a farm and with horses and cattle and everything back in the Midwest. I just can't understand how people, human beings, can treat dogs as if they're just kind of a castaway, throwaway type object and just walk away and leave them fend for themselves. That just leaves me with a real questioning and wondering, perplexed attitude. I don't know how we can be that cruel.
Me neither. I don't understand that either because I love animals. And I'm actually raising my 6-year-old granddaughter to do the same too, and she absolutely loves them, and it makes her cry if she sees anybody hurt another animal, cat, dog, anything.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Let me ask you, when you receive these animals, and like Deb has said many, many times, in the drop box at night, or you have to go out and find them, they're scurrying around the countryside, or perhaps their owners just up and left them perhaps chained to a post or whatever. What's the procedure? What do you do at that point?
We bring them in, and we examine them and make sure that they're okay, and we get them warm, and we feed them, and we get to love on them, and then we get them adopted. We do our best to get them out to a loving home, and let me tell you, when it comes to Deb, she's awesome. She will make sure that these dogs go to a loving home, and I have never seen one person like Deb that loves animals as much as she does, and she does everything in her power to make sure that that's where they go.
Absolutely.
And when somebody comes in here to adopt them, we do everything we can for them to make sure that that dog first has their shots and that they're healthy and loved, and yeah.
Okay. No, I love the way you elaborated on that. I think you're 100% right. I know you're 100% right. What dogs, what do you have for us this morning that we need to find a good home for?
Well, you know something? Actually, we're doing pretty good. We don't have any dogs here at the moment that need to go out. One thing I wanted to talk to you about was we're doing a fundraiser through Wagons Tails Rescue, and I was wondering if I could go over that with you.
Absolutely. You don't even have to ask. I think the name of it is called Fido Fest. Is that right? Yes.
What's that?
Go ahead. We were talking over each other. We got a little bit of a delay there, Lisa. I'm sorry. But you're talking about Fido Fest. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Go ahead and tell everybody what it is.
Okay. It's going to be on April 22nd at the Burley Inn Convention Center. It'll be from 6 to 8 p.m. And what we are doing is it's an evening of tasty treats provided by our area's best culinary artists. So what we're doing here is we're raising funds to continue our low-cost and spay and neuter program for cats and dogs in Kaja and Minidoka. So it's just going to be an evening of fun. We're going to have door prizes. There will be a silent auction. And what Wagon Tails does is they help with the spay and neuter of cats and dogs. Mm-hmm. And last year, I want to tell you, they did a total of 134. So that was 51 cats and 83 dogs.
Wow.
So this is pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Okay, let's kind of walk through the scenario here real quick about Fido Fest on April 22nd. I mean, basically, what's going to happen when people show up at the Burley Inn that night at 6 o'clock? Give us kind of a scenario of the program.
Okay, you get to come in and you get to, because they're going to have treats provided for everybody, and they're going to be out on the table, and you get to go around and try these out and get to taste all this fun stuff. And like I said, there will be the door prizes, so everybody will be able to put in for door prizes, and we have people that are donating the door prizes.
Okay.
So just things like that.
Lisa, is there a door cover charge to help raise the funds? Tell us about that.
There is. It will be $10 per person.
Okay. And that money that money goes to help the Minidoka Animal Control, correct?
It goes to Wagon Tails.
It's
going to Wagon Tails is where it's going.
Okay.
That's who's because that's who the program is for.
So for $10, they can come in and sample a whole bunch of goodies and possibly win a whole bunch of prizes and help the spay and neuter program with the Wagon Tails, correct?
Absolutely. And I would like to mention also that this is a kid-friendly event. So bring your kids with you also, because they can learn so much too. So, and my granddaughter, I'm bringing her. She's going to be there. She'll be helping out, and it'll be awesome.
You keep saying granddaughter. You don't sound like you're even hardly out of high school yourself.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, no. I am. I'm way out of high school. Actually, I'm having my 40-year reunion this year.
Oh, my goodness. You sound very, very young. Okay, that's going to be called Fido Fest, and it's going to be April 22nd at the Burley Inn from 6 to 8 p.m. It's only, and I mean only, that's very, very economical, only $10 per person to help raise funds for the Wagon Tails Spay and Neuter program.
Correct.
Okay. Now, I'm glad that you don't have any dogs this morning to feature. That means that everything's working well over at Minidoka Animal Control. But in the event that you do end up with some more dogs, we're always here to try to see if we can't find good homes. What are some of the attributes that you and Deb and everybody look for as far as finding out if the people are good people to take the dog?
So what we look for is when these people come in the door and then we bring a dog in to greet them, you know, you just watch that dog and you can tell if that dog likes those people. For instance, we had, his name was Bookie, and he was a pit bull, and we had him inside the building, and we was waiting for the lady that was coming to adopt him. That lady walked in, and she immediately loved all over on this dog, and this dog was all over her, and they loved each other, and you could just see that bond. All you have to do is you can read that dog. You know whether or not he likes those people, and you could tell immediately that this dog loved this person.
I tell you what, that just warms my heart to think about the dogs and the puppies and the animals that you're finding families for. And what a great service. And I certainly hope and pray that everything keeps going for you and Minidoka Animal Control and Wagon Tails Rescue. And again, I want to reiterate, we're going to keep mentioning this on this segment, the Fido Fest, April 22nd at the Burley Inn, 6 to 8 p.m. Treats and fun food and door prizes and just a lot of fun, and it's only $10, right?
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing everybody there, and it will just be an evening of fun, and just we get to all show how much we love our dogs.
Absolutely. Lisa, while I've got you here this morning, is there anything else that you want to mention in regards to what Deb might have to say this morning? Anything else that we need to get on the air?
Not that I can think of. I would just like everybody to know what a wonderful person Deb is. She has a big heart for all of these animals, and she will do anything she can to help people adopt. And she helps them even after the adoption.
Absolutely.
She's just amazing. She's done this for a lot of years, and I enjoy working with her.
Absolutely. That's pretty good reference right there, and we wish her the very best and hope that she's back over there again next week. Lisa, you did an outstanding job with your teenage girl's voice that was very, very nice this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.
All right. God bless. Thank you so much. And that's, of course, Minidoka Animal Control along with Wagon Tails Rescue and our Dog Days segment on Zeb at the Ranch. Right now, it's time for the weather. And the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Woo! I'm telling you, the most delicious of meats from Don Scarrow and his crew at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. You can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com, and check out all the lists of the delicious meats. I mean, all the tri-tips and all the different flavored bacons, and, of course, all the sausages and the bratwurst. Oh, the list goes on and on. You're planning an outing with a lot of people, you better get a hold of Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The telephone number to call, 324-7657. Right now, here's Gina with the weather forecast.
A relatively mild week. Today it's going to be beautiful. Here is a look at your weather forecast. Today we are expecting partly sunny skies, a light breeze out of the east at about 6 miles an hour with a high of close to 61. Tonight clouds rolling in. Low of about 31. Tomorrow partly sunny skies, high of about 50. Winds out of the west at about 7 miles an hour. Tomorrow night partly cloudy skies with a low of 31. By Wednesday back to sunshine, high close to 57. That's a look at your weather for Zebedee Rain.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you. And brought to everybody by Don Scarrow at Scarrow's Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. That number again, 324-7657. They at Scarrow's Meats are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Wow. Hey, you know, there's something to be watching for and listening for, and when we hear about it, regardless of where you live or what school district you're near, we need to start really perking our ears up, because there is a program that is being infiltrated into many, many schools across the United States already. It's called the critical race theory. And I'm going to be doing a program on this. Let's see, I'm trying to remember, not next week, but the week after, I believe we have a guest on. And this thing is to be watched for and one to be eliminated. Critical race theory, where basically it's coming into the schools. And it absolutely is an indoctrination of hate, and anti-white attitudes and themes. I've read a little bit about it, studied it a little bit, talked to some people, and it's a basic program that almost all whites, Caucasians, you and me, are racist. And it teaches that whites are to be very afraid of what they are and who they are, and apologetic about what they are and who they are. This is insane. And it's a complete Marxist ideology that's infiltrating the schools. I am never on this program going to apologize for being white. I'm never going to apologize for what I have, because I worked for it. And I certainly am not ashamed. But this is going into the schools, and they're telling these kids that if they're white, why, they should be very, very sorry and apologetic for the way that their great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather acted and or uncle acted. This is insane. And parents need to, across the board, and I know we're listened to nationally, whether it's Florida, Massachusetts, whatever, we have listeners every day. Parents in all the areas where this critical race theory stupidity ideology has started in the schools, they need to start suing the schools, the administration, and the school boards. This is a Marxist ideology that has to be stopped. I just, honestly, I got to ask you a question. Before Trump left office, and during the 4 years of Donald Trump, the racism, and even before that in Obama, I mean, we never had so much sickening and absolutely perplexing racism come to the forefront like it is today. And it's being fueled every single day with more hate, more denigration. This is absolute insanity. And the minute that you don't agree with what's going on, you speak up and you're automatically a racist or a bigot. This has got to stop. But telling kids in elementary school grades, if they're Caucasian, you should be apologetic and very sorry for what your ancestors were, what they did, and you should be ashamed of being a member of the white race. This is... I'm just livid, and we're going to do a program on this in the next couple of weeks. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear what's going on with Tucker Carlson? I mean, whether you like Tucker Carlson or not, that's totally irrelevant. But I was watching the program the other night when he started criticizing the military and compared the Chinese government, which is building a massive naval operation, to Biden's announcement that the Defense Department here in this United States was prioritizing things like changing regulations for female hairstyles and issuing, and this is the thing that blew me away, maternity flight suits for fighter pilots that are female. What? Issuing maternity flight suits for ladies that are pregnant and flying fighter planes? This is insane. And there were some pictures that were used on Tucker Carlson showing those flight suits. Well, first of all, I'm going to say it blatantly. There shouldn't be any women that are going to be having a child, pregnant, flying military airplanes. I mean, showing these pregnant women in a flight suit, and we are endangering not just their life, but also the life of their child. This is insanity in the United States of America. And now the certain Democratic lefties are after Tucker Carlson, including the military. They're going after him. They're going after and attacking Tucker Carlson over comments he made about the military, and the United States military is demanding an apology. Well, Republican Texas Senator Ted Cruz is coming out swinging for Tucker Carlson, and I'll guarantee you, here's the quote. Under Biden, the military is launching political attacks to intimidate Tucker Carlson and other civilians who criticize the military policy decisions. Well, I'll tell you what, on this program, as long as we're not unplugged, we're going to criticize anybody and everybody that is in need of criticism or in need of a watchful eye for what they're doing or not doing. And I commend and compliment Senator Ted Cruz for jumping up and saying, wait a minute, we have the right of free speech. We have the right of opinion in this country. And I'm going to help Tucker Carlson fight back against the Biden administration and the military. This is insane. You can't hardly say anything anymore. And somebody is going to be at your door saying, we're a member of the cancel culture. Adios, amigo. Oh, boy. Got time for a call or two. Give me a jingle. I want to remind everybody about our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the very best in tires. Now, you know that. They're having a great big tire sale right now, a spring tire sale, where you can save a bundle of money. That's right. Save money on the tires that you need for your vehicle. Absolutely. Whether it's your car, your truck, your SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, whatever. Save money with the big spring tire sale. And you also know, and I've said this a million times, about the best in brake service with highly trained brake technicians, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries, all there with the 7 locations. James over in Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane in Rupert, Mike in Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes in Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I am surprised that we didn't have a phone call here in the last couple of minutes. We are always on a roll and trying to battle hard to get everybody in during the time frame. Your calls are welcome and appreciated. While I have just a moment, I will give you the Bible verse for today that I selected, and I think it's very fitting. Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. For I can do everything God asks me to, with the help of Christ, who gives me the strength and the power. Amen. Think about that. Tomorrow on the program, I'm going to ask a member of the military tomorrow. I've got Major General Mari Eder coming on the program tomorrow morning, and then we're also going to have our legislative update tomorrow at 10:30. And on the legislative update, we have Representative Fred Wood going to be on the show tomorrow, along with energy expert Dan Kish. We got a full plate tomorrow, and especially at 10:06, we've got Dr. History, so all of that coming up tomorrow. Quick note, again, I am not kidding. Some people still think that it's an April Fool's joke. No, it is not. April 1st, Thursday, April 1st at 11:30, we are going to re-implement and recharge the Zeb's Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley. It is true. We're going to start it all up again. We've got door prizes. We've got all kinds of fun, but we need a whole bunch of people to be be there. And we want to make this thing kick off in grand fashion. That's going to be on Thursday, April 1st. Lunch Bunch returns, Zeb Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner at 11:30. So put it on your calendar and please be there. Always end the program by saying the way things were are the way things ought to be. Amen to that. And the 4 words that we really salute and that means the most to us, in God we trust. We'll be back here tomorrow morning. Sean, always over at the studio running the board. Great job. We'll be back at 8:06 tomorrow morning. You have a wonderful, wonderful day.